We're ready. Hey, everybody, welcome. My name is Daniel Garza, and this is another episode of Put It Together Conversations. I want to first start off by thanking my producer, Mr. Kevin Moyers, for all his help and support. Thank you, sir. Inviting you to go check us out at abnormalentertainment.com, where you can find all the shows on the network. Go check it out. There's a bunch of shows on there. Some of my archive shows are there. So make sure to go and find us. Also, if you are not following Put It Together podcast on Facebook, make sure to check it out. There's a lot of interviews, a lot of information. You can find extra stuff about my guests. And while I'm talking, you're wondering what I'm guessing. I'm just sharing on some other pages so some other folks can join in the conversation. Also, this is live. So if you guys have any questions as we talk, or you want to comment on anything, feel free to do so, and I'll make sure that Shaun answers any questions for you guys. I want to thank Shaun, Surgener, as we're
Surgener,
talking.
yes.
As we're talking, yes.
Yes.
For anybody watching who's familiar with the podcast knows that I have such a problem with last names. It must be the Latino in me. It just doesn't want to bring out the words.
Yeah.
But I always go over it with my guests before we start the show. Like, how do you say your last name? And we went over like 20 times. Surgener. There
Perfect.
you go.
Yep.
There you go. So before we get into letting John talk, let's go over his bio for a quick second. So Shaun grew up in Ohio, and in a small town. He moved to South America for about 6 months in his junior year of high school to train at a soccer academy in Santa Cruz, Bolivia. He gave up his dream of soccer to get practical and become a doctor. He graduated with a 4.0 as a pre-med student, but decided that he wasn't passionate about medicine. He worked promos to make ends meet and spent time learning about fitness, finances, personal development, psychology, and happiness and fulfillment. I guess he needed a hobby. After about 2.5 years, he saved about $40,000 working promos. He learned how to make more money doing promos. Promos, being a manager and growing his leadership skills. He started an in-person as a fitness trainer. Yes, he started an in-person fitness trainer program, right? And then transition into peak performance coaching, helping people find their true purpose and passion, creating greater fulfillment and achieving a lot like never before. That's pretty awesome. Transition to a full-time coach, and then he burned out on promos, built it to he was making about 3 times what he used to in promos as a coach. And now you have investments in like liquor stores and other stuff. I really think you need a hobby, Shaun.
Yeah, I have a lot of downtime.
I don't know that your parents are probably proud enough at this point.
No, they're questioning everything they taught me.
Where did all that education go? Shaun,
Right.
Surgener, welcome to the show. How are you doing, sir?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for having me.
Before we continue, I always like to tell my guests how we met. I met Shaun. For those of you that, of course, I've been following for a while, know that I am the founder of the Brand Ambassadors of the Greater Los Angeles page, where we have about almost 29,000 members, all brand ambassadors in the Greater Los Angeles area. And we handle from north to south and some of the other states. So if you're looking for a brand ambassador job, this is probably not the best time to join, but you're welcome to join the page.
Right.
But Shaun posted some information on there, and it was a really interesting. And I made the mistake of not printing out the list, but I'm going to find it as we speak. But Shaun posted a really cool step-by-step ideas, suggestions on how to build yourself up. And I just thought that it was so brilliant that he had thought about it. And then I did a little research on him, and I thought this guy would be an excellent guest for Put It Together, because his story is all about putting together. So Surgener, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely you gave me that bio pretty much sums it up. I mean, from a small town, kind of, really struggled for a lot of my life trying to figure out and answering that question, like what I really wanted to do. I had some passions like soccer. So thinking that was my passion. That was literally my pursuit from the age of 7 to about 18, 19. I trained with a academy in South America and was great. But then I kind of reached my peak, kind of realized wasn't going to happen, and then got realistic. Went to pre med and found that that really wasn't my passion. I was just doing it just because it paid really well. And then I just had this whole kind of series of just really for a long time trying to figure out like what it was that I really needed to be doing with my life. I never could answer that question like, well, if money wasn't an issue, what would you be doing? Or like, what would be that actual job that I thought I could do for the next 40 years and not be miserable? And so it really kind of became a quest of kind of self-discovery, of, pursuing different passions and really, I guess, just putting it all together, like you said. Yeah.
I want to start off a little bit from the beginning because you grew up in a small town, Ohio. Hello, Ohio. How did, I mean, obviously soccer, but how did you're a junior in high school, you're a kid, and what motivates you to travel outside of the country and pursue that?
Yeah, I know that's something that a lot of people kind of really, I didn't really think it was a big deal, but when I talked to a lot of people, it's like I had no idea how you could ever do something like that. And I don't know. I've always been one of those people who, I've always been pretty ambitious, pretty driven. And I've just been one of those people where it's just, if there's something that I really want, I just, for me, it's just like I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get there. And so I'm over here thinking like, what is one way that I could get an edge, in my potential professional career as a soccer player? And so I was like, like what's out there? Like, how can I up the game? And so, I was online, I found an academy in Europe, I found some in South America, and I really just kind of did a lot of, studying, figuring out what would be the best, best course of action there. And then started raising money, because I didn't really have the money to do it either. So literally went around banging on doors, telling people my dream, my mission. And, I pretty much saved up or pretty much fundraised like quite a few $1,000s. And of course my parents helped a little bit and then not a ton. I mean, but, and I just made it happen. I was just so laser focused on what it is I wanted that, if I sit and think about it now, it sounds crazy to do that at that kind of an age, but it was just because I knew I wanted it so much and I was so laser focused on it. I think any bit of that fear that probably could have kicked in about like, you're gonna be alone, you're gonna be in a third world country, it's just all these different things. I just, it just didn't really didn't come up at all.
Yeah, and I think because I was young once, folks. But I think when we're younger too, we take more risk. Like we don't know. It's not that we don't know any better. We just don't know fear the way we knew it. We know it as we get older. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure. I would say that.
The, what was your parents' reaction when you said, "I want to go to a country where I don't speak the language, but I'm heading out there anyway"?
Yeah, my parents were actually pretty supportive of that. I probably more so than what a lot of parents would be in terms of like, oh no, you're way too young to be doing something like that. I think number one, they've always known I had a good head on my shoulders, so it's not like I was going to go there and just completely lose myself. But they knew it was something that I really, really wanted. They could see the effort and just how much I had researched it, how much I had planned it, and of course they were a little hesitant. But it was interesting because I actually felt that I was more emotional at the airport leaving than they were because luckily I've always had parents who've always pushed me to, be a little more self-sufficient, a little more independent. But I'm at the airport here and I'm expecting my parents to be, the typical mom, like crying and like, oh, I'm going to miss you. I feel like I was the one that was almost getting ready to cry. My mom's like, all right, well, have fun. See you later. I mean, not in that like mean way, but but yeah, it's just they've always been very supportive. And I think that transitioned even once I did that into moving to LA, you know what I mean? Which was a whole other venture.
In my sarcastic side, I hear your mom saying, "Whoop, there's a new gym in the house." Like,
yeah, exactly, right. It's
gym
like
room,
finally, let's get rid of him.
movie room.
Right.
Well, I want the audience, for everybody watching. If I sound overly excited, it's because I am. I'm always a fan of people who just take the initiative, who work who work their best. And it is, yes, hard work is part of it, but working smart is also part of it. And when you combine both of it, that's going to get you really far. I've said this in promotions for a long time. I've said this in my regular life. It's like, yes, working smart is great, but you've also got to work hard to get to where you want to go. Otherwise, balance them out. I feel like it's a rowboat, and you've got to use
Yeah,
both oars to get you where you want to go. So I went in and found the list. So I have the list of the 6 things that you posted on that list.
perfect. Okay.
But before we get into that part of the conversation, uh, Shaun, tell us how you put it together.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously there's so many places I could start, but I think really to where it makes the most sense is probably my journey from just graduating college to moving out here to finding myself. And so like I said, I just decided to quit soccer, and because I just knew it wasn't going to work. And I decided to get practical because I was also researching, professional soccer players in MLS at that time, and like one of my friends I think they made like 30 grand a year for their starting salary. It didn't pay well. And I just knew that professional athletics, even if I did make it, it's just not going to happen. So anyways, I got practical, and I was like, let me be a doctor. I was pretty, fairly smart kid. And I figured that's something I knew I could do. So worked my tail off, spent my 4 years in college, literally every waking hour in the library. As soon as class was over, I'm in the library till nighttime, and I did that basically for almost 4 years. Started shadowing doctors to figure out if I wanted to go to medical school, like what that was going to look like. And, I started shadowing all these doctors, and I started seeing like, man, there's nothing here that I really like screams out at me like, man, like I cannot wait to do this. And this was a very pinnacle point for me. I had started doing some acting in college and some feature films, commercials, and things. And I was having a blast doing that. Hated all my classes. And so basically, I made this one of the toughest decisions of my life. And I decided to leave a life of certainty of high income, my life is gonna be mapped out for the next like 30 years. And literally with 400 bucks and no job, I literally just put my stuff in a trunk and drove cross country. Didn't know anybody. Luckily, I had a friend that introduced me to a wonderful lady who let me sleep on her couch for the first month for free until I got my feet wet, found something to, at least, and I'd start paying rent after that first month. But I had this, once again, it was kind of like soccer. I had this dream of what I really wanted. And it was so crystal clear of what I had to do. So anyways, I move out here. Of course, it's new. It's exciting. I'm going to be a famous actor. This is going to be wonderful, and it's exciting for the first 6 months. But then going out on auditions, just working side, promo from I start off in promos, promo, and literally just starting to see the true reality of what it really takes to, I mean, not just in acting, but in any career, to really build something for yourself that where life is really on your terms is really freaking difficult, and it's not easy. And so I started seeing all these actors who had been out here for decades, and they're 50, 60, and they're still like broke with roommates. And it's not a knock on them, but it's just, for me, it's just like I knew, as much as I loved acting, I'm like, I didn't want that for myself. I knew there's other experiences in life I wanted to have. And so I really hit probably one of the toughest points in my life right around 6 months. It was the first summer being out here. I really kind of hit this kind of like dark place where I just really kind of lost my sense of identity. And literally, if I wasn't already down enough, like it was just basically like, kicking me while I'm down. It's that, I got a call from my parents saying that they were getting a divorce. And,
Oh, wow.
that was, for me, was devastating because my parents were always like just the one thing in my life that was just like everything to me. And I just remember literally that night going for a run and just like running as hard as I could, crying, and just like, I was just devastated. I even remember having a thought in my head, like, man, maybe if a car hits me or something on the run, like it was bad. Like, you know what I mean? I wasn't like super depressed, but it was rough. It really made me start to question everything about like the decisions I've made. Like, what am I doing? Did I like completely miss the track? Right. So that was where I guess it started with having to put it all together. Cause I really, at that point, had to really begin to recreate kind of who I was, what I was about, and what I truly wanted.
Right.
And so after, it was a little bit of a struggle, but I really had to start questioning and going into like, what is it that you really want out of life? What do you want life to look like? Who are you at the true core of things? And so I've always been fascinated with high achievers, people who succeed. And I really made me start to question, like, what truly creates a difference in the quality of people's lives? Why is it that some people are able to have such massive fulfillment, happiness, and achieve great amounts, and then other people are just, they're stuck in this like cycle and this like rat race of just constant grind, constant hustle, just feeling so overworked, unfulfilled. And that really became my fascination. And so I literally just spent all my time studying everything I could about fitness and finance, personal development, psychology, happiness, fulfillment, relationships. And I really began to try to get an understanding of, what was I missing? I thought I had some like secret sauce that I just like, what was that book I forgot to read about life that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Where
I
is
must have
that
missed out on.
pill?
Yeah. Yeah. So it was crazy. And the more I began studying and reading and applying what I was learning into my own life, and started realizing that, there wasn't really a secret sauce, but there really was very core elements of things from psychology, just understanding principles and and the true core essence of what creates success. I began to make my own transformations. I began to have more vision with my life. That first few years in LA, the first year, I think I made $19,000 in LA, and doing promos, and I saved 9,000. I literally had spreadsheets on how to eat on $5 a day on food. I was not going out. And I literally I once again, I attached myself to a very specific vision of, I really attached real estate and wealth to being able to say, hey, you know what? If I didn't have to worry about money, I could pursue acting as long as I wanted. I could live life the way I wanted to, and great. So it started off there, and I really started learning principles of that. And as I began working promos, I began becoming more like in tune with like how to become more of a manager, how to get that lead role in terms of like management, how to increase my income. Then it became how to invest, and I started buying real estate properties. And that transitioned into, over time, me starting to build a side business because of my own transformation. People like, man, like you're like, I'm working the same jobs as other people, and they're worried about how to pay rent. Meanwhile, I'm talking about my next property investment. Like, how are you buying another rental property? And like, I have no idea how I'm going to pay rent this month. I'm still, you know what I mean? And so that kind of made me realize, like, wow, like I really enjoy helping people with strategy. And that's kind of where my whole coaching thing went along.
So before we get into that part, let me come back to a little bit. I was,
that was a lot, sorry.
Yeah, no. I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, as you were talking about your parents and their divorce, and how that kind of threw you for a loop. Do you think that them being a consistent in your life gave you permission to be able to explore what you wanted to do, like go after your dreams and your goals?
Do you mean like if they weren't together, I maybe wouldn't have been able to do that?
Yeah, because I think a lot of times not having something consistent, because I get a chance to talk to a lot of people, and especially a lot of, let's say, brand ambassadors, people in the or people that are coming to LA for their dreams, that there's always something that is a consistent somewhere else, somewhere where they came from. There's a consistent that if anything goes wrong here, I can always go back there for a minute and go, I need some grounding. Do you think that helped you in your adventures?
Yeah, I think having some sort of, feeling of certainty, there's really like six main human needs of certainty, uncertainty, significance, connection, growth, and contribution. And we all need these. And, while I had certain like certainties of like family and stuff, so even if someone didn't have that though, there's still other things in your life that you can attach certainty to. But yes, I do think it's very important to have some sort of foundational consistency or baseline. Because if your life is nothing but just mass uncertainty all the time, it's chaos. You have to have some sense of certainty about, like, if I'm in my apartment today and that I know that it's just not going to cave in at any minute. We all need something to give us a sense of foundation.
You said all the keywords that I was going to for the segue. First of all, it's I think that's what sometimes we miss, and I'll include myself in the conversation, because sometimes we miss thinking, oh, I have this certainty, I have this thing in my life that I can go to. And I had my parents for a little while, and then as they got older, my mom had Alzheimer's. It became, I had to find something else to make my consistent. Like I couldn't count on her because of her illness to guide me. So I had to direct that energy somewhere else. And I think if I'm correct, that's something that you learned to do. Like, okay, that's not there anymore. Where can I
Yeah.
focus now? Otherwise, you start losing your road. Um,
Yeah.
and then
Ex-
the second thing before you continue, the foundation. You mentioned I'm a huge fan of laying out a good foundation. If you don't lay
yeah.
that good foundation, you won't have anything to build on.
Mhm.
There's a comment. We have people. Thank you for people who are watching. Thank you. You are watching Putting Together Conversations, and my guest today is Shaun Surgener.
Surgener.
Surgener. Yeah, is that right? Did I say that right?
Surgener. Yeah, it's like a doctor.
Surgeon.
Like surgeon or yeah.
Surgener. Yeah, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
get that in
No,
my
you're
head.
fine.
But we have a comment already coming in that says somebody had zero consistency and became the most driven, focused person that they know. And yeah, sometimes you can go from being inconsistent to being focused, and that's part of the drive that people go for, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, and what I was going to segue into is that, a lot of times we try to attach external things of certainty of like, oh, I have my parents, or like, oh, I have a nice house or a nice car or something. At the very end of it, everything that we do is really to just get to what's called an end state, an emotional state. So any goal or dream that we have, and really one of the things I work with on like, some of my clients and stuff is helping them understand that like, everything you need is kind of within. And it's really getting back to the core root of your true foundation. So even if someone says, well, I don't have any certainty, and sure, they probably don't have much stability, if you really were to dive into it, there is really something that they find very certain within that realm of like what they're doing. But I mean, regardless, yeah, there's still some core principles and value systems that when you can get back to the core of that, that's really where your certainty can lie, because that no one can take, there's certain things about you that people can't take away. Your circumstances can change, but there's certain things within that don't. And that's really where the foundation comes in and living out that truth.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with you on that. That everything we have lies within us. It's just a matter of finding it, and not everybody has. And I'll say this: not everybody has the bravery or the courage to go and look for those things within them, because things can get
Yeah,
scary up in our heads. Things can get very dark
absolutely.
if we don't. Um, do you think I was listening to you talk about your journey, and when I read your bio, do you think that in the not in the end, do you think at this point your dream or your goal was to be a businessman, that soccer and acting were just part of the journey?
Yeah. So, one of the things that I really kind of tell people is that every goal that we have in life, and this is what I had, and this is really what helped me begin to transform or really take myself to another level. Because there's for a long time I felt really stuck and unfulfilled, and because not every single person, but most people we attach ourselves to certain goals, like, oh, I want to be an actor, or I want to achieve this income or certain body physique, or any one of these things. I don't care what goal you have, that's actually not your real goal. Your goal is an emotional state or a feeling you think you're going to get because of that achievement. And what took me a long time to understand during my journey, and what really allowed me to release, was literally the fact of understanding that soccer, acting, and then some of the other ideas that I had for myself of like what I want to do, they all represented something core down below. And when I started to understand that, like, you can get those feelings in so many different ways, it allowed me to understand that, I'm not just an actor. I'm not just a business person. Like, I am Shaun Surgener, and I am like my brand, I am my entity. And within that, really can have so many wonderful things. But that's where the true foundation is understanding those core values and beliefs.
Because again, something else you said, it's like the goal is not the goal. It's the feeling, the emotions that come with it, and that's something that I had to learn as I was the last couple of years. I was so on this. My goal is to have Little Mexico Productions, and I want to trademark, and
Right.
and then I got the paper, and I was like,
This is it.
okay,
This is it. Yeah,
so
right. Yeah.
so now the real
No,
work begins.
yeah, no, exactly. And it's all relative. Now, I remember, like, even for me, like, when I first started, I had no money. I was like, if I could just have like $3,000 in my account, that'd give me like a month or two of or if I didn't find a job, I'd have some leeway. Then once I got 3,000, it became like, well, 10,000 would be nice. It's like, well, 30,000, but it's never ending. So we think we're going to be happy when we achieve these goals. And honestly, we might be just for the brief moment, but it's relative. It's going to always up. You know what I mean? We're always going to have to increase the ante.
That's something we work on, the spiritual mentoring or the spiritual coaching
Yeah.
that I do, is not just get to, I teach my clients to manifest things, to bring them into their lives, spiritually speaking, energetically speaking. And it's not just about bringing what you want into your life. It's what are you going to do once it's there? Where are you going after that? Because I have clients that come to me, they're like, oh, I want a boyfriend or a girlfriend. I want a new
Right.
car. I want the great home. I'm
Right.
like, what are you going to do once you get it? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm going to be happy. I'm like, how are you going to be happy? How is that?
Yeah, no, for sure. I tell people, it's like, oh, you want a relationship? Like, okay, I know a great person. They're an abusive alcoholic. I'm sure they'll take you right away. So, well, I don't
Yeah,
want that. It's like, right. So it's like there's certain feelings that you think that by having that thing that's going to represent. I'm not saying a relationship is going to elevate your life. Relationships are amazing, but we think we want the relationship. It's the feeling of connection or love or certainty, or there's something deeper that represents, and
yeah.
it's getting to the root of that.
Yeah,
You know.
so for everybody watching, if you're just joining us now, this is Put It Together Conversations, and my guest today is Shaun Surgener.
Surgery. Yeah.
Am I still saying it wrong?
No, you're perfect. It's
Okay,
great.
good.
Yeah.
Because I was like, mess it up one more time. We're done with this
No,
episode.
yeah,
I'm through. I'm changing his last name to Sanchez after this.
yeah.
But if you're just joining us, we're talking to Shaun about his journey into his business and how he became a life coach, business coach, same thing, different thing.
It's really helping people understand what their true purpose is, how to create just lasting passion and achieve like never before. So it's just really helping people understand who they truly are at the core, what they really want, and how to live a life of purpose, passion, and just getting those things that they really want.
Awesome. So if you missed the beginning of the show, we were talking about the way that I found Shaun is on the brand ambassador of Greater Los Angeles page. He posted a list of 6 things that will direct you or guide you or map out your life towards, I guess, to a better business, to elevate yourself. What was really the purpose
Yeah, I
of what you're
mean,
doing?
I think the reason I post that is because obviously I've been in promos for years, and I have a lot of friends in that page, and it's just I've been watching the forum, and just so many people, with obviously understanding that like people are freaking out, like with COVID, all these things going on. I mean, there's just, especially in the promo world, it's just like aren't happening. If they are, it's like very very small amount, and so people, the system and the process that we've kind of always done is no longer working. And so I really started thinking about my own trajectory and like, what were some things that could really hopefully help not only give some systems and strategies, but hopefully inspire people to say, hey, like even in the midst of a pandemic, there are still so many opportunities of taking your skills, your passions, and your knowledge, your expertise, and really creating a new dynamic future for yourself. Because there's so many things that people still need that honestly, because I know a lot of people in these groups, that they can offer and make a difference. So create that impact.
And before we go into the list, just for those of you that are watching and going, what are you talking about, brand ambassadors? If you've ever been to a sports event, if you've ever been, and people are giving away t-shirts or signing you up for a particular brand or a survey, and they give you something, those are brand ambassadors, that's a promotion. If you go to the grocery store and somebody's sampling, testing or giving away testing on products, chips or crackers or juice, those are brand ambassadors. So on the brand ambassadors of Greater Los Angeles page, we have about 29,000 members who all do these promos. And you wonder, is there work for everybody? There was work for everybody at one point. So right up to the lockdown, most of us were working very consistently through the weekends or through the week. But after the lockdown, and not being able to have social gatherings, promotional work has gone down. It is coming back up, but not at the level that it was up to like 6 months ago. So part of this show, and it's streaming both on Put It Together podcast on my personal page and the brand ambassador page. The reason I wanted to talk to Shaun is to kind of give an idea to folks that you are more than the brand ambassador page. You have more to give, more to showcase. You probably have some skills or experience in things that you probably didn't know you had that could be making you money now. So I'm pretty sure that the promotion world is not going to come back the way we used to know about it. It's going to change. So how are you going to wait for it to come back, or are you going to change with it? And that's part of this conversation today. So we're going to go down the list of the 6 things. I kind of broke them down into my own wording, and see if it. So number 1, assess the market. What do you mean by that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, there's so many things out there that we still can do. The fact that, people are like, oh, we can't meet in person or whatever, and so one of the things I said is like, first of all, sometimes, we don't know what we don't know. And one of the best things that you really can do is just get online. And there's so many freelance websites out there. And I think I had listed quite a few in that post, things like Upwork or Fiverr or TaskRabbit and stuff like that. And anyways, I said, first of all, like, actually just look and see what people are doing to potentially make extra money, because it's like a lot of times we don't think that you could make money at that, but you really can. And if you go on there, you'll find all kinds of things, from like copywriting to SEO to photography to web design to, I mean, I've heard of people who literally are making 6 figures in LA right now walking dogs for people in like these like really fancy apartments. I had a client one time whose family, like, literally had a whole family that were that they made their money picking up dog poop in neighborhoods. I was just reading an article from this other girl who literally has made $150,000 in the last 6 months writing on freelance websites, just providing just little services, whether it's just,
Wow.
editing. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, there's so many ways that you can make money online. And so assess the market, just get out there. Like, literally, another person literally makes a full-time living assembling IKEA furniture,
Wow.
Yeah.
That,
And so
and I'll hire you. Come and put. I want a new shelf, but I'm so anxiety has kicked in. I'm like, I am not going to IKEA to buy it because I can't do it. There's always pieces left over, and I get frustrated. So I would hire that person, which kind of ties in. It ties into your number 2, which is assess your current skills.
Right. So once you start getting online, you start realizing like, hey, there's literally like an unlimited amount of ways of making money. Literally just start going through each one and ask yourself, do I have a skill set in this? Or if I do not, could I learn this in a reasonable amount of time? Now, if something's going to take you 2 years to develop a skill set in that, then like, hey, if you're in I guess, a situation where you need money right now, like, let's probably find something else, because we don't want to wait 2 years of no income before we can do that thing. But there's a lot of things that you could learn pretty fast. But yeah, so you start going through each one and ask them, can I do this? Do I have a passion for it? Which I think is probably one of my next ones, but like, that's what I meant by that.
There are 2 things that I found out that people are doing online that I thought, how'd you, baking classes, where you're in the comfort of your own kitchen. You just get a list sent to you on what items you're going to need. And then a person goes on Zoom like this and has a group chat, and people are asking questions, and everybody's baking at the same time.
If you know languages, Spanish, Italian, French, if you know instruments, singing, tuba, piano, trumpet, I mean, there's so many things. If you have any skill, I'm telling you, you can make money at it.
Yeah.
Really
One of the most that I found that was like, what? A selfie taking class. And, And there are people who don't know how to take a good selfie, and they want a good, especially right now, because everything's online. So everything, you're submitting photos, you're submitting resumes with photos, or going on Zoom. And so there is a girl that's teaching people how to find the right light, how to find the right direction or connection to take a selfie. And she charges like $10 for an hour class. And I'm like, and then, but she has like several people in the classroom. So you can make $100 an hour just teaching people how to take a selfie. That's pretty amazing.
Exactly. I know another guy who did a resume, and he started off like, he knew he was a pretty decent resume. He started off just charging. I think he found a few people for free on LinkedIn, and then just got some, testimonials, started charging a little bit more. This guy now charges like $3,000 or $4,000 a resume,
Wow.
and he makes like multiple six figures as a resume builder and
Yeah.
editor.
And
And so yeah, it's crazy.
so you're right. Number three is uh, your passion.
Your passion. Yeah. And so this is something that honestly, and this is something that's more of kind of a long-term vision of, especially because, this situation may be going on for a long time. And so, one of the keys, there's a lot of things we can all do, but one of the keys to creating more fulfillment and happiness in the process of what you're doing is really trying to find that passion, something that you actually have a passion for. Multiple reasons. Number one is just going to make your life a lot more enjoyable. If you just really, you might have a skill in doing like website design, but you just loathe doing it. And so if you're going to spend all day doing it, it's just going to suck if that's what you end up doing and you hate it. The other thing though, too, is that when you really are passionate about something, number one is the effort that it takes to build this becomes so much easier. I'm not gonna say it's not hard, but you're gonna wake up really being excited about, man, I'm actually building my thing and it's around something I actually enjoy doing. And it actually makes it so much better during the process. And you're gonna stick out so much more, because the one thing I know for certain, we are attracted to people who are passionate. And I don't care if you're talking to me about rowboats, which I care two craps about, right? But you're like, no, you don't understand. You're like, it's got the wood and like all this stuff, and like you have that much passion to it. Like I might not necessarily care that much about rowboats, but the fact that you're so passionate, it makes me interested, and I want to be around that more.
Yeah.
You know?
If so, like one of my least favorite subjects, like sci-fi. I don't understand it. I don't get into it. But if like when my boyfriend talks to me about sci-fi, seeing how excited he is about it makes me want to watch whatever he's watching. I have no
Right.
clue what's going on, but
Right.
but I tell him, take some of those passions that you have and turn them into a business, which leads us to number four: pick something you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pick something you know. Yeah, for sure. So honestly, I'm trying to remember exactly what all I put in that one. What pick something I know. That was the next one, right?
Right. So I thought it was very connected. I'll save you here, but I think
It's been a little while since I made the post.
yeah, I think what you were talking about, and for the folks, I had to go back and dig it because it was a little while ago, and I the way that I associated it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is if I'm passionate about it, I will put my energy into explaining it. I will guide you to the process. I'm even willing to do a couple of freebies just to get my name out there. And because I
Yeah.
already know what I'm talking about, the
Right.
information comes out easy. I don't have to fake information. I don't
Right.
have to do tons of research. Like I'll give you a quick example, and this is something that I told you in our pre-production meetings when we were meeting, and I said this at the beginning. I was really inspired by some of the stuff you say. I thought that I thought I had it all together. I was like, what is this kid going to teach me? I'm twice his age. How dare you? I'm doing
Yeah.
I'm doing the show for those other schmucks who don't know anything about life.
Right.
But like everybody knows, I do card readings. That's my passion. That's something that I know how to do. I've been doing it for a while. So I do Reiki. I'm a Reiki master, card reader. I'm a spiritual mentor. That's one of my jobs. I started doing readings, fast readings on TikTok. I had already had a TikTok account. I saw other people doing live feeds, and all they basically did was just stand there and read messages. And I thought, what if I take what I know and what I'm passionate about, go on TikTok, do a live presentation that is free, and then hopefully I'll get some clients out of there. And I'll be darned if I didn't get like two, three, sometimes four clients after an
Yeah.
hour that then pay for a session and then put my name out there. It's a word of mouth. And I thought, oh wow. And I mean, okay, not that I didn't know that, I just hadn't put it together. And list and
Right.
reading your list, I was like, oh my God, like Shaun just kind of like read my mind, like what I
Yeah.
need to do. So yeah.
Yeah, pick something you know, and you're starting to remind me. So it had been a few weeks since I made that post, but yeah, it really is starting to like that part is taking a few of the other steps, kind of bringing it in. So ideally, if you can find something you already have like you said, a knowledge base on, and you're kind of already sort of doing or that you know of, it really just makes it so much easier to where you don't have to feel like you're like, yeah, like you said, like faking it to make it or anything like that.
Because
It's definitely huge.
I also think that sometimes we get caught up in the competition side of it.
Yeah.
uh, John Smith is making tons of money doing videos on cars. So I'm going to do car videos, and you know nothing about cars, or you,
Right.
and now you have to learn all this extra stuff to put it out there. And the passion's not going to come across because it's business instead of passionate. And
Right.
people feed into that. I mean, people, they see through that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And that's why it's, yeah. And doing what you know in the beginning is great because it usually means you can just get right off the ground and just start running with it and making either whether you start off for free, just to make sure that like you can make some like transformations or you can teach someone English or Spanish or piano or whatever that, you know, that you, it gives you another sense of confidence too.
Yeah. So, oh, here's another one before we go on to number 5. But here's
Oh,
another
sure.
one.
Yeah.
There is a gentleman who is teaching single moms about soccer and football and
It's
sports,
perfect.
so
Yeah.
that once, because some of the kids are going to go back and play sports at some point, so he's teaching single moms or single parents all about the basics of soccer, the basics of football. So when their kids go back and play, they have a better idea of what the game's about and they can actually enjoy the game. I thought that was genius. It was genius. So
Perfect. Yeah, I'm sure maybe we'll dive into that more with the business stuff, but that's where you start to niche yourself and really start to, on the marketing
yeah.
side, be able to ask for a lot more for your time. Yeah.
So number 5, you talk about going full time.
Yeah. Yeah, starting, yeah, working part-time on your wealth build and then eventually going full-time. So it's work full-time on your living, part-time on your wealth. And that's something I learned, you know, really early on in my own studies of personal development and stuff. And then, but it's very applicable to this, to where I've worked with a lot of different people who, and I've seen a lot of people make this mistake where they decide like, oh, I don't want to do promos anymore, or I don't want to do this job anymore. I just want to have my own t-shirt business, or I want to, you know, I want to be a health coach or whatever that new business is. And because they're so inspired, you know, they decide I'm just going to quit my job. I'm just going to focus on this and I want to build it. And the thing though, is that, you know, creating a business it's kind of hard and you don't always make money right away. You might be fortunate and right off the bat, start making some income, but it may take a little while to build that up. And so if you already got something you can do, and I think one of the things I mentioned is that, you know, if you're in a current state right now where you don't have a job, like, in depending on how you feel with the, you know, everything going on right now, but like finding something you can do right away, like whether it's like Uber Eats or if it's like just doing online trumpet or something, or, you know, whatever for the immediate cash that you do just to get some money going right now to pay the bills. If you have a different vision for yourself of what you want to build long term, do that on the side, begin building that base, building that audience, and let that continue to build to the point where you're going to make more money part-time doing that thing than you are driving for Uber or doing maybe trumpet lessons or whatever it is. And then that's when you know, like, heck, man, like I could totally just ixnay this. I'm just going to now put all my attention on it. And you no longer have that risk of quitting your job, starting a business, and then a month later realizing like, oh crap, I'm not making any money. I got to hurt and find something because I'm broke.
Yeah.
So,
And you just
yeah.
segued into your number 6, grow your business.
Yeah, exactly. Growing your business. And that's just, you know, I remember reading a book one time, and it was kind of talking about, you know, what is the real difference between those who really get what they want out of life and those who don't. And we had this idea that, like, you know, it's really just, it's almost like swinging for the fences. Like, there's just, if I can just get that one thing to happen, or this singular event, or this one massive action thing that I do, this one idea, it's going to transform my whole life. And that's honestly not how it works. What really makes the biggest difference between people who really begin to build what they want out of their life and those who don't, it's that the people who really begin to get those things, they do these really simple but small things every single day. It's consistent daily disciplines, you know, consistent actions. And the thing is, the reason why we don't notice it is because each day when I make the decision, the effects of it are like so small, like you don't even see them. And so, you know, if I decide not to work out and overeat today, I'm not like instantly 40 pounds overweight, and, you know, or if I decide to spend more money than I'm earning this month, I'm not instantly like massively in debt. But the thing is, every decision that we make every single day really does have an effect. Usually it's pretty small. But the thing is, when you make those little decisions each and every single day, those effects compound over time. And so building your business is just, it's showing up every single day, doing just at least just something that you can continue to grow. And over time, it is going to build. And it may build a lot faster than you think.
Yeah, yeah. And that was another note that I took, although I was already doing some of it and being consistent about our production company, and we want to grow our production company and put out some shows that hopefully will make some money for the company. I wasn't being consistent in the way I was rolling out information to let people
Right.
know, hey, I'm here. Like I'm here. Like come and see me. So Friday nights, 6 p.m. Card Devo. I'm doing my
Yeah.
show. No matter what, I'm there 6 o'clock. Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. The Christian and Daniel show. We are there, and we invest a little money, and we give away some freebies. So if you're not watching the show on Wednesday nights, come and watch us. But it's small investments to grow our business, but really going full time into that business, and it's scary. But like I agree with you. I told some of my friends, like, you already lost your job.
Right.
You're sitting at home. Instead of complaining about not having anything to do, why don't you create something for you to do and
Yeah.
pour into that? You have the time, you have the resources. And I think sometimes, I don't know what you think about this. I think sometimes we underestimate the resources that we have to put into our own personal business.
Here's the thing, it's never a lack of resources. And this is and we all do this. I even catch myself doing this. I have to remind myself is that we always go with this idea of, well, I don't have the money, I don't have the connections, I don't have the time, I don't have. It's never a lack of resources, it's always a lack of resourcefulness. And if you can get crystal clear on exactly what you want, why you must have this, because here's what people like, we tend to forget. You know, if I have a certain result that I want, I have to have a specific set of actions that I do to get there, right? So if I'm trying to lose weight, I need to be eating less, or working out and eating or yeah. So working out, being more fit, trying not to eat more than, or I burn more than I'm consuming, right?
Right.
So we all know the basics of building wealth, like spend less than you earn, and then getting fit is eating less than you burn. And so, but the thing is that the decisions that we make every single day, really there's another underlying component, and that is our emotional states. The emotional states that we live in day to day are what really cause the actions that we take, and those actions over time are what get us the results. And so if you really want to begin changing the course of your life and the results that you're getting, we have to change our actions. But to change our actions, we got to change our emotional states. And the most difficult time and the most difficult thing right now for most people is because most of us are in a state of panic and fear or frustration, is that those emotional states are not going to allow you to take the actions necessary to begin now getting new results. And so if you really want to change your results, you got to first focus on changing your state.
Yeah. Mouthful,
Yeah.
but yes.
I know. Yeah, I know. I started to say something else. I'm like, I don't want to preach
like,
too much.
Keep
I
going,
know.
Shaun.
No.
But
well, because in life, I mean, I guess the other part I was going to add to this is that in life, achieving more, it's really 20% mechanics. Success is really 20% mechanics. It's knowing what to do. Yeah. Honestly, with the internet and going online, you can research great at-home workouts. You can research how to get more fit, how to eat healthier, how to save money. It's not so much knowing what to do. That's the hard part, is doing what you know. Success is really 80% psychology, and it's really learning to have a system and routine set up and some rituals that put you in that positive state no matter what's happening, so you really can take those actions.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to give you my paraphrase 6 points that Shaun and I were talking about. Assess the market. What are your current skills? What's your passion? Pick something go full time and grow your business. So that follow those. But for more information, definitely we're going to give out Shaun's information in just a minute so you guys can contact him. We've passed the 45-minute mark. So Shaun, this is the point where I ask my guests to share some words of wisdom with my listeners. What words of wisdom do you have to share?
Okay. Yeah, and it really depends what situation you're in. But I know, like, for most people right now, it's really just trying to figure out, how do I get out of this current situation? Like, how can I, if I've just lost my job, I mean, I just feel like, right, this is probably the most applicable thing for the people listening, is that if I just lost my job, or if I'm trying to get a new result, I would say a couple of things. Number one is you've got to get yourself a really good ritual or morning routine that really puts yourself in a physical state of certainty. Like I said, to really begin getting new results, we got to take different actions. And to take different actions, we got to get yourself in a certain emotional state. And one of the amazing things is that our physiology, the way that we talk, move, breathe, and all those things, can really change how we feel. So we got to change your physical state, change the focus, what we're focusing on. Where our focus goes, our emotions flow. So have a set of rituals, routines that you do first thing in the morning that really put you in a state of certainty. Start to get very specific with exactly what you want. I think one of the things that really helped me, because I went from $400, no job, trying to figure myself out, and what really allowed me to begin clicking was I really, instead of talking in generalities of like, well, I just want to become more successful or more fit, or I want to make more money, I got very specific. And my thing was, I want to buy my first rental property, and I identified how much it was going to cost, how much money I needed down. And I did that. So over the next 2 years, I saved 40 grand, did my first real estate property. Then it became, I want to make more money. I said, okay, how much money exactly do I want to make? And I started listing out, why must I have this? And I started saying, okay, what are some ways I could do this? So anyways, I would say figure out how to get yourself in that peak emotional state each morning. Identify, with my bullet points, like I mentioned, like, what could you do? Assess the markets, figure out like how you could provide some bit of value. I'm telling you, there's so many things that you can do, and begin building it. And it's amazing how fast it happens. I mean, like I said, even with me, like I went from promos to, I started doing fitness training at first because I had a lot of knowledge and skill sets in working out and nutrition. I noticed most people charge like 60, 70 bucks an hour. So I charged 50. I was like, well, hey, if they're charging 60, I'll charge 50. And so I started getting clients. As I got more clients, I increased my price. And then I went from 50, then I went to 60, went to 75. And eventually I was charging 100 bucks an hour for fitness training. And then I segued into life coaching. And then it just kept going up from there. But I could not have done that if I didn't have a very specific vision of what I wanted. I had a ritual that put me in a peak state. That way I had the actual belief and the intention behind knowing that it was possible. If you don't believe it, I think like Paulo Coelho once said that those who believe they can and those who believe they can't are both correct.
Right.
And your beliefs are everything, but you've got to get that instilled.
And I think you've got to believe that you can do it.
Yeah.
There's going to be naysayers. There's going to be people that throw negativity at you. There's going to be people that are miserable and want you to hang around with them in misery. But as long as you believe in yourself, you keep moving forward. And I say this with experience, because when I was trying to launch my own spiritual mentoring programs, and people were like, I don't know if this is the right time for it. I was like, I believe it is. And we go back to the beginning of the list. I was passionate. I knew what I was talking about. I'd done the work myself, and people were like, well, if you're that passionate and it works for you, maybe it can work for me. And I was like, good. And most of the time I tell my clients, believe that I believe, and we'll get somewhere. But if you just completely block me, then it'll shut you down. We got a couple of messages. We go, Wayne Sampson, hey, back to you, sir. And Terry Bourne, thank you for this, Daniel and Shaun. You're welcome. We're glad to be bringing.
Yes,
Thank
you for watching and listening.
Yeah. So remember, guys, just before we wrap up, put it together podcast conversations every Saturday at 5:00 with a new guest. If you have something you'd like to share, if you have a story that you think is interesting, or you want to come on and just share what you're doing, hit me up, drop me off a message at Put It Together Podcast on Facebook, and leave a message, and we'll contact you. Shaun, where can they find you?
Oh man, all over the place. Number one, I've got a Facebook group, which I just started recently to kind of build and expand upon what I'm doing right now to reach more people. And it's called The Surge Effect, which I think you'd put a link, I think, in the post anyways, where you could find me. So it's called The Surge Effect, but it's really there to help you understand how to find your true purpose, how to create lasting passion, and achieve like never before. And basically, it's really just there to teach you the guiding principles of how to get yourself to do anything, how to put yourself in peak state, how to identify what is it you really want, how to create that lasting happiness. And so it really is meant to help people really unleash that next level. Really, regardless of, I've helped people who are corporate CEOs making an insane amount of money find even more passion and go. And I've also helped people who are starting off early in their journey and they just don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? And they're just like, I don't know who I am. But it really can help a lot of people.
Well, I'm very honored to meet you, and I'm very impressed by you. So hopefully, we can combine your business mentorship and my spiritual mentorship, and we can work on something together later on. And
absolutely,
that goes. Yeah,
fantastic.
not that it just popped into my head. I just thought I'd bring it up.
No, for sure, for sure.
Ever since I met you, I was like, there's got to be a way to bring the logic of business and the spiritual side of life to make people, because sometimes we have mental blockages, we have spiritual things that are
Absolutely.
blocking us from growing, and no matter how much your logic is pushing you, your energy is holding you back, fears hold you back. So there's got to be a work on that. Thank you so much. I'm so impressed by you. You're pretty awesome. But for
Thank
those of
you.
you watching, I tend to bring people here that I am in awe of. I always say you've either got to be pretty smart or pretty cute to be on my show. So that's the only way. No, just kidding. That's not the way. You don't have to be either, but it helps.
Yeah.
I lost my track. For those of you watching, remember every Friday nights at 6 p.m., you can catch me on the Card Devo, which is a spiritual mentoring show. Catch me with my partner, Christian, on the Christian and Daniel show on Wednesday nights at 7:30. And every Saturday night, we'll be here for another episode of Put It Together. If you want to listen to it, Put It Together podcast on Abnormal Entertainment, it's still on, so you can go back there and check some of my old shows and all of the season. We are going into season 8. This is my 8th season with Put It Together, and we brought it to the air. We're bringing it to live so that you guys can enjoy the live show. And the reason we're doing this is because I know a lot of you had questions, and this way you can ask questions live, and then you can go listen to it on the podcast if you want to. So there we go. Any last thoughts before we go, Shaun?
Oh man, honestly, I could go on for hours, but I mean, really, for those of you who are listening and watching, as scary of a time as this is, like I said, it's really hard when you start to lose hope and you start to lose that sense of certainty in your life. And one of the things I tell people is, the more little victories that you can create, it really starts to create that new sense of confidence. And so just doing small things each day, even though they're really simple, just getting some movement in the right direction really makes a big difference. Like when I started my coaching company and all that stuff, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just like, I knew I had some passion for it. I just tried little things. And of course, now that I own 20 rental properties, I got a liquor store and all that stuff. And honestly, like back then I had no idea how all this was going to come together. But you're literally just, you lay one brick down at a time, take one foot forward and just say, hey, you know what, today, what's one thing that I think I could do that's going to help me get one step further? Because it gets really difficult sometimes when we start thinking of like the brevity of like, how do I create this massive YouTube channel? Or like, how do I build this multiple 6-figure coaching business that people are talking about? And it's like, you don't start there. You just start with like the one day of like, hey, is there something I do that I can learn something today? Or is there something that I can do to potentially find one person that I could create impact for? And so the more you keep doing that and showing up each day, it starts to unfold. And when I start to look back over the last, I guess it's probably my 8-year journey, so far, it's just crazy seeing how everything connected. When I was going through the whole thing, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing and how this is all going to work out. I just knew what I wanted, and I kept that drive. So if there's anything that you want to do in your life, make sure there's more pain in your current situation than the pain of change. And that's that. If you can get more pain associated to your current situation than the pain of change, you will take that action. So if you're failing to follow through, really begin assessing those belief systems or thoughts of like, what has to happen to make that change? If you're thinking like, oh, it's going to take too much time, I don't have the skill, I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the know-how, well, that's going to be internal pain. And that's going to cause your neurosystem, as you begin to start taking action, to take like 2 steps back. And so you might be in pain right now thinking like, oh, this isn't too pleasurable anyways. But the fact is that you still have more pain associated. So attach massive, massive pain to your current situation and begin to break down the limiting beliefs and thoughts you have about what has to happen to make that change and recreate that into new abundant beliefs.
Wow. For everybody watching, please go back and rewatch this episode.
Yeah,
I know we threw out a bunch of information.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But that was one of the reasons that I wanted to bring Shaun on the show, is that I knew he had a lot to share with you guys. I know we're going out to 6 o'clock, but I had one last question for you, Shaun.
Yeah, what's up?
What makes you happy right now?
What makes me happy right now? I really, and this is, that would be kind of like putting it all together, I guess, is that I've always been searching for fulfillment and happiness. And I always tried to figure out, like, if I could just book these acting roles, or if I could just make 6 figures, or if I could just do this. And every time I'd reach one of those milestones, it would be great for the moment. And I'd still be like, oh, well, or yeah. And so really think about it now. Having contribution and growth is really at the core essence. I think that's really the secret to life, is learning how your true self, your true purpose can create contribution to others. When the key to living is giving, and so it's like when you can find your purpose and how you contribute and how you can create that impact. When I started to connect those dots, the achievements are great. And of course, believe me, I'm just starting. I've got 100 times more what I want to be doing, but you start to separate that the achievements are not going to determine how happy you're going to be. It literally means nothing. We think it does, but it literally means nothing. It's who you are. It's your purpose. It's your life mission that you're living out. It's the impact that you're putting on other people. And when you actually get in line with that and in sync, that happiness is truly what kicks in. So I think when I finally figured that out and I realized that, hey, the acting, the businesses, all that stuff, I can still do it. That's who I am. But the happiness comes from me figuring out how to create more impact in others. I think that's when I really started to unleash in terms of fulfillment and happiness.
Awesome. And Karen just quoted you on that. The key to living is giving, and she loves that. So we got a little heart
high
for
five.
that. Yeah. Plus, I this is not for me, but we got the comment that Shaun's a hottie. So yes, not only does he have things, but he's a hottie. So I feel like it should embarrass you there at the end. So
I appreciate it. Yeah.
he's got brains and looks, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
But thank you everybody for joining us, Shaun, Surgener. Thank you so much for being part of the show. I'm so glad that you came on. For everybody watching, this is Putting Together Conversations. Shaun has been our guest today. If you missed any of this, go back and watch it again. And it'll be eventually.
Also, I didn't mean to interrupt. Feel free to hit me up on Facebook or Instagram or anything. If you have questions, things that you need help with, like hit me up and I'll try to respond as fast as I can.
Yeah, and we'll put all the links to find Shaun on the page, and at the end of the show you go back to the comments and find it. But I want to thank you all for thank you, Shaun, for being on the show. Thank you guys for listening and for commenting. Remember, we'll be back here with another Put It Together conversation next Saturday night at 5:00. Put it on your calendar for Put It Together Conversations for Abnormal Entertainment and Little Mexican Productions. I'm Daniel G. Garza, and hey, put it together. See you next time.